It's literally one of the first things that comes up if you search Muppet Zoom background.
Wait, really? Why is that specific one?
I don't know. I think it's pretty great.
Oh,
80s robot.
wait until you see the. Oh, I love 80s robot. We'll get into that. Wait until we get to the thumbnail. It's something special.
All aboard!
Hey! Huh? Oops! What? Wow! Yeah!
Welcome everybody watching in the internets in Radioland to episode 15 of Where Streams Come True, the show where we at Studio 76 suffer through the entire good and bad of Disney Plus. I am your host Collins, and joining me today are my co-hosts and guests. We have Neffy, Cameron, and Sarah today.
Hello.
Hello.
We everyone here is returning, so no new introductions. Next time we will have someone new, hopefully. This week we watched the 2011 Muppets by director James Bobbin. Walter, the world's biggest Muppets fan, and his friends uncover a diabolical plot to destroy the Muppet Theater. They must quickly reunite Kermit and his fuzzy friends to stage the greatest Muppet telethon ever if they are to save their beloved theater. Initial thoughts: have you seen this movie before, and what do you remember from it, and what was it like returning? We are going to start this time with Sarah.
Awesome. I have seen this once before, I'm the other way.
Not on his screen.
It's
He's
recording. It's recording mine. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. My bad. Yeah, I've seen it once before, like a month ago. But it was definitely fun to revisit. I didn't think I was gonna like it the first time I watched it, but I did. And this time was even better. So.
Awesome. Cameron, you go while I untangle my headphones.
Okay. So I'd never seen this before. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen any Muppets thing before. I think I've seen like pieces of the show, but that's about it.
It seems hard to avoid seeing the Muppets.
It does.
Like you'd have to work at that.
I mean, I don't know. I saw the Menominat video, and I think that's about the biggest piece of Muppets that I've seen. I thought this movie was kind of meh. Yeah, so I don't know how detailed you want to go into it, but I guess we'll just save it.
Yeah, general impressions. And Neffy.
So, Muppets, I had never seen before, but I thought this movie was hilarious. It was so funny. Freaking 80s robot just cracked me up all the time.
80s robot is the best. He's my favorite.
Favorites.
He's my favorite Muppet.
I was pleasantly surprised.
That's good. That's good to hear. We've got both sides of the spectrum, with Cameron being on his usual side. So going into the full review, we'll take this a scene at a time as usual. For those of you new to the show, we just go through the plot and discuss it in that order to keep things organized. Walter, a puppet, lives with his brother Gary, played by Jason Segel, a human in small town. The two became Muppet fans when they watched the Muppet Show in their youths. As adults, Walter and Gary continue to live together in their hometown of Small Town. Gary plans a vacation to Los Angeles with his girlfriend Mary, played by Amy Adams, to celebrate their 10th anniversary, and he invites Walter along so he can see the Muppet Theater. Gary is pleased to spend time with both Mary and Walter. We get the Life's a Happy Song musical number in this part, though Mary feels that Gary's devotion to Walter detracts from their relationship. All right, thoughts from the opening of the movie?
I loved that opening song.
It's my favorite song in the
catchy.
movie.
Yeah. And then all of the humor throughout it were like, life's a cake, and then they like hand him a cake and he's like, heavy cake.
There was one part I had to pause at when Gary and Mary, okay, that's actually easy to remember, are in the schoolhouse, and it has a shot looking out the window at Walter. all around Walter, there's like people like with their backs hurting from the musical number from the dance
Oh,
number
really?
before, and like lying on the
Uh-huh.
ground, and there's like a guy being carried in a stretcher. It's like they have that joke a little bit afterwards. They're like, they're gone, and everyone collapses.
Like the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
town,
There's so much going. Yeah,
which implies that they like are somehow controlling this town.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's one of the things about the Muppets is you can't really establish any sort of canon because the fourth wall is basically non-existent for a lot of characters. And
Mhm.
you have weird stuff like that happening where like he mentions like, oh yeah, it must have been from that musical number I did outside. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just happens. I
And then
had
there was
go on, Cameron.
I said there was a part where like Amy Adams is doing that really sad song. The guy's like watering her window.
Yeah. He's just watering the window. Goes back. It's funny. When I actually had heard the soundtrack before I saw the movie. So I assumed that was all Muppets singing. And I had in my head like who's singing what, but I was surprised when it was all humans. I don't really think there are any all human musical numbers in other Muppet movies that I can think of.
Muppet Treasure Island might have one with. No, the Pirates. There's a mix.
The Pirates,
of Muppets.
yeah, the Pirates is a mix of Muppets
Yeah,
too.
so never
That's the
mind.
first one. That's what I was thinking of as well. But I think this might be the only one that there's an all human. Well, except for Walter, mostly human, I guess.
99%.
There was a cut part of it where there was an extra verse where Walter was singing, but that's actually part of something that I wanted to bring up from the beginning, is when it's going through the montage of them growing up, and like Walter's too short to go on the ride, and then he looks at a funhouse mirror where he's tall and looks all sad. I think that at some point there was certainly at one point this movie was longer. This movie's pretty short. It's about a half an hour shorter than Empire Strikes Back, for reference, a movie that came out in the 80s. I think there was a subplot about Walter wanting to be a human, which they kind of have in the Man or a Muppet song later. But like there's him, looking at the thing, wanting to be taller, and him being measured, and being frustrated that he's not getting bigger like his brother. And I don't know. I think that was probably a bigger thing, where he like was, do I want to be a human or do I want to be with the Muppets? But they decided to just focus on one, because there's some lines here and there that.
Well, what I
something
think
there.
it was is it wasn't like him looking at the mirror and seeing himself taller. It was himself. He was seeing himself bigger, as in like being a metaphor for like when he finally gets to join the Muppets at the end. Now
could see
he's
that.
so much
Yeah.
more than what he was when he was back in the small town, and so he kind of like achieved his dream of being bigger than he was.
And
when
I
he was-
guess, I can see that, and the sort of realizing that he's out of place, being a puppet in a town full of only humans, and then joining people who are like him.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that makes a little more sense.
That's how I saw it. I just saw it as him just trying to find somewhere where he belonged.
Right.
Kind of how I saw it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. Which is probably why if there was a subplot there, that's probably why they changed it.
Yeah.
Because it still weirds me out how his part of the Man or a Muppet song later, because that's not really a conflict for him. It's definitely a conflict for Gary when he's singing the song about his priorities. But like Walter's priorities, his is more about self-confidence.
Mhm.
But they needed to do it. It's same with the other duet, where only one side of it makes sense. But we'll get there. In Los Angeles, the three visit the Muppet Theater to find it in ruins. During the tour around the facility, Walter sneaks into Kermit the Frog's office and discovers Statler and Waldorf selling the theater to Tex Richmond, played by Chris Cooper, an oil magnate, and his associates Bobo the Bear and Uncle Deadly. Waldorf explains that if the Muppets can raise $10 million to rebuy the theater in a certain amount of days, once Statler and Waldorf leave, Walter learns of Tex's true intentions to tear down the Muppet Studios and drill underneath for oil.
Maniacal laugh.
That's something I wanted to talk about as well as the maniacal laugh thing. Apparently, that's significant.
The
We'll talk
maniacal
about that
laugh?
we'll talk about that later because he only laughs once in this movie, like actually laughs once in this movie.
Oh yeah, his
And
brain
it's-
is broken.
Yeah, when he gets the head injury at the end. And it's supposed to imply that he's never laughed ever in his life, and laughing for the first time is what turns him around. So that's why he only says maniacal laugh. He
Really?
doesn't actually laugh. Yeah, I didn't get that until I read the summary of the plot. I thought it was just a joke of him like telling them to laugh.
Who knew the Muppets went this deep? Honestly,
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. I guess they do.
Yeah,
You
some
certainly make the
people are
case.
for a joke.
I love the the stereotypical drilling for oil is such a cliche villain
Tex, rich
motivation.
man.
Yeah, Tex, rich man. And yeah, of course, there's oil in this one block of Los Angeles
Mm-hmm.
just
I mean,
for no reason.
the La Brea tar pits are relatively close. You could make the case that maybe there's some dinosaurs down there, but it seems unlikely.
Maybe.
and they talk about it in the beginning when they say that it's going to cost $10 million, right? That's in the beginning.
Yeah.
So, is he going to pay $10 million for that place?
I think he already paid it. Yeah.
Basically buying it
Oh.
back.
Yeah, basically buying it back. It's confusing. For those of you, I guess, down here on the bottom of my screen, who haven't seen the original Muppet movie, there's a lot of references to it in this movie. It's the standard rich and famous contract is from the end of the Muppet movie where they.
You have a visitor, sorry.
Yeah, there's a cat. Don't worry about him. Where they finally arrive in the plot of the first movie is them trying to get to Hollywood to become famous, and they end up in the office of who is it? Rosebud. What's his name? Citizen Kane.
Oh,
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
yeah.
Yeah, they end up in Orson Welles' office. He has Orson Welles has a cameo in it, and he's playing some character.
some
And
Hollywood exec.
yeah, and it ends with him just going, "Draw up the standard rich and famous contract," and that's how they start the
Yeah,
Muppet Show.
Muppets go, yay!
Yay! So that's what that is.
So
okay.
there's actually a continuous timeline with all these Muppet movies.
Not all of them. Just I might
This
be
is
wrong.
like its
I
own
haven't-
timeline.
Yeah, I haven't
Okay.
seen like Muppets in Space and stuff, but there's like the Muppet movie, this movie, and then Muppets Most Wanted is technically in the same timeline, but it's not that good.
Which
But
is
yeah,
why they're
this
all
is-
kind of washed up because it's been
Yeah,
30 or so years.
they do the sort of meta actor
40.
thing in all of the following movies, like The Great Muppet Caper, which is the sequel to the Muppet movie, the original Muppet movie. They're all playing different characters. Like Kermit is playing somebody, and like they're detectives in the plot. So it's not related at all. But this one is an actual sequel to the continuity, Muppet continuity, I guess, of the first movie. Because even the first movie has weird continuity. Because like they, when Kermit and Fozzie meet Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, they give them the script of the movie to catch them up, which then they use later to find them. So like the continuity is fuzzy in all the movies, particularly the first one, and in this one it has a lot of that as well, where they just know they're in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. We continue onward. Walter explains the situation to Gary and Mary, and the three track down Kermit at his mansion. I want to stop real quick there because we didn't cover Gary and Mary, who have been dating for a decade.
10 years.
They've
Yeah.
been dating for 10 years.
And he
I
gives
think
her like
that's
the
the-
most chaste kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, he gives her a kiss on the cheek, and she's like, "Oh." I'm sure they still like shake hands after dates or whatever. I guess it's like it's part of the joke because they're from small town, and it's like
Yeah.
like small town values. We're like, oh yeah, we've been dating for 10 years, and maybe we'll get married. Which I guess they're
A horse and get down on one knee, and it'll
Yeah.
finally be over.
and because like at first I want to say like there are relationships like that where people just don't get married, but they but they don't live together. That's the thing. Is they're
Mhm.
like in a typical dating relationship, and the assumption is one day he's gonna propose. But it's been 10 years. And then look, and based on the prom picture, they've been dating since high school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she's so patient.
She's so
Like,
patient.
she's not complaining. And the fact that she's the third wheel in her, Gary and Walter's relationship. And that's
Mhm.
fine. She just wants one date on their trip to California, which is about them. That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
Because
and
Walter
once
wants
the
it so much.
once the adventure starts, she's gung ho about it. Even more gung ho than Gary,
Mhm.
because Gary's like, we should give up trying to find Kermit, and she's like, no, let's go. Anyway, so we'll go on.
If we do, this will be
Well,
such
can
a
we
short
talk about-
movie.
Can we
Yes.
talk about this real quick? So when not Gary, the
Walter?
Muppet,
Walter.
Walter. When Walter goes and tells Gary and Mary about the plan, they do this really weird like track shot of him like running. But of course he's a Muppet, so he doesn't run right. And so it's like the whole
That was a
time.
meme when this movie came out.
Oh, I still see that the GIF of
His
him
freak
running.
out.
His freak out.
It was so weird. I was like, what am I watching now?
I feel like they've done that with Kermit in a previous movie.
They have the like every episode of the Muppet Show when he'll be like, and this is the Muppet Show, yay! And he'll like wave his arms around.
Hmm.
This
But
first
anyway,
time that they actually show Muppets walking.
they had
hated
them
that
walking
so much.
in the. You
It is
don't
a little
like
weird.
that.
I actually have a picture. Hold on.
They have that
Keep talking.
in the original Muppet movie. They have a composite shot of Kermit and Foggy dancing.
Hmm.
And it like has their legs and stuff. And there's also a shot of Kermit riding a bicycle,
Oh.
which they did with. I don't know how they did that shot. It still confuses me how they did that.
Well, it could just be like they paint out the strings and stuff.
Yeah, I think they just painted out the strings. But like even like how do you do a bicycle with string? Anyway,
I
yes,
have I
Sarah.
have a picture.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make it my background. Okay, so this is what they did in this
Oh
movie.
my gosh.
Is they just had blue suits and they chroma keyed out and then they just walked him down with like probably the little sticks that they use for some puppets. But I wasn't gonna show you guys, but it came up, so I was like,
Oh
this is my second choice for my
The
background.
thing about it is that there is a lot of this in this film. There is a lot of.
Yeah.
I personally like it.
It is
He's
funny.
he's a technologically advanced Muppet compared to like
I mean, they all can walk. and,
yeah,
like,
they would
all have
shoot
feet.
scenes with like not seeing the floor and the puppeteers would be underneath the floor.
That's the easiest thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. This was
Yeah.
the part where he yeets himself off of a shelf, and then
to open a door.
to open a
Oh
door.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what bugs me the most about that was that like a lot of times when they're walking, they would do this kind of like thing when they're walking, and then when they show the legs, they're just walking normally, and you don't see the weird head bob, and so it's this weird continuity thing, and it just bugged me.
Interesting. I don't
Yeah.
think I noticed that, but I'm glad you did. Continuing on from that massive tangent. One second.
It's part of the movie.
It's part of the movie. So he explains the situation to Gary Murray. The three track down Kermit at his mansion. Kermit is distressed to learn the news, but realizes the only way to earn the $10 million would be to put on a show, which the Muppets haven't done in years. And we get the pictures in my head number. Walter convinces him to try anyway, and they set off to reunite the group. Fozzie is preparing with a group of uncouth Muppet impersonators, the Muppets, in Reno, Nevada, and Kermit persuades him to leave the group. Gonzo's become a powerful plumbing magnate. He at first refuses, but secretly longs to return to his daredevil days. He then blows up his business and joins them. Animal is in a celebrity anger management clinic. He rejoins them, but his sponsor, Jack Black, warns him to avoid drums. During a montage, the rest of the Muppets are found and picked up. They then travel to Paris to find Miss Piggy, who went to work as Vogue Paris's editor-in-chief. They try and ask her to come, but she refuses to cooperate. The Muppets replace Piggy with her Muppet counterpart, Miss Poogie. There's a lot to unpack here. A lot of funny
Yeah.
stuff. First off, another reference to, I guess, a couple references to the original
There's a
movie.
few, yeah.
Fozzie working at a basically like a dive bar is where he got his start in the original Muppet movie.
It was kind of a
And
saloon in the first
It
movie.
was a saloon in the first one, yeah, but it's sort of a similar vibe. And Gonzo, in the first movie, he had a plumbing truck that he drove around before he met Kermit.
Small business with Henrietta.
With Henrietta the chicken. And so I guess he went back to plumbing, and now
Wildly successful.
that scene was so funny. The take a seat in the row
Oh, yeah.
of like
These are the
used
executive used.
toilets.
Jinx.
Oh my goodness. And we get the travel by map.
Oh yeah,
Which I
that was
found
good.
was funny. Just I
We
don't
can't
know.
drive to Paris. It'll take too long.
You can't drive to Paris. Yeah, Walter, it's way too far.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. Gary and his lovable stupidity.
What's the really tall Muppet? Really shaggy tall Muppet?
I don't know. Like the blue one?
The one
No,
that
he's
looks like a
brown.
mop.
The one that works at the auto
Sweetums.
part. Yeah, because that's where he was
Yeah.
in the first movie.
Yeah, he's working at Mad Mooney's used car lot, which is where he was working in the first movie. And just like in the first movie, they drive off without him, and he has to walk all the way there.
That's so messed up.
It's like
I believe there was in the first movie, the person that owned the used car lot was someone very famous.
it
and
was a cameo.
Yeah, they're since passed away, so they weren't in this.
But
Yeah,
they had
Manny,
a lookalike in the shot.
Milton
wearing, like, the
Berle.
hat. Milton Berle, yeah.
Who
Sure.
I'm only the one that probably knows that.
I recognize the name, sure.
Yeah.
In the first movie, they meet him, and when they exchange cars at the car lot, and they ask him like, "Oh, you want to go to Hollywood with us?" And he's like, "Hollywood!" And then he runs to go get his stuff, and they're like, "Oh, he just said Hollywood and then ran. I guess we'll go." And then he gets his stuff and goes back, and they're already gone, and he has to walk all the way. And he does the same thing here.
All the way to California.
Yeah, because he doesn't fit in the car. So
Sure.
Discrimination. Isn't
gosh,
it so
yeah.
funny?
we passed over 80s Robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back at Kermit's mansion.
The MVP funniest joke of that is his whole scene of the "Would you like a drink? Tab, new Coke." And he's like bumping this up, Grody to the max, gag me with a spoon, and he uses his modem to find the other Muppets, and it's that modem noise that even us who are primarily 80s kids, not 90s kids,
90s.
we're 90s kids, still can appreciate the references of 80s Robot. I just wish that he was in more stuff beyond this.
I just don't understand why they would let that 80s robot drive when there was perfectly adults that could drive.
Human
I guess
adults.
because he's got the GPS.
Maybe.
I wonder how they did the driving in this one. That would be interesting because they did it very dangerously.
Autonomy.
SAG would not
in
be
the
happy with
first
them
movie.
if they did the same thing they did in the first movie, where they had people, puppeting them up, and then they had a third person controlling the car, looking through a hole, like down under the dash onto the street,
Oh.
and just like controlling the car like that, and like
Oh.
pushing on the pedals in their hands. It worked.
It was the 70s. It's fine.
Here's the 70s. They can get away with anything. The Muppets pitched their idea for a telethon and are rejected by several TV networks. One executive, Veronica, played by Rashida Jones, accepts an offer to give the Muppets a 2-hour opening in her network schedule due to the sudden cancellation of one of their network's hit shows. However, on the condition, that they bring a celebrity guest, the Muppets repair the theater to the tune of "We Built the City," but the rehearsal does not go well, and Kermit is unable to find a celebrity guest. Miss Piggy returns and kicks Miss Poogie out. Kermit persuades Walter to help them out and find his talent.
Now, this is the point in the movie where my enjoyment went from here downhill
Really?
real quick. Yeah.
Okay. Care to elaborate on that? After taking a dramatic drink of water.
Yes. So this is where the plot gets less and less stable, and then Miss Piggy comes in, and her voice is so annoying. Like, why couldn't they just have an actual girl voice Miss Piggy?
That's what I was thinking. Miss Piggy
Like,
is a man voice, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe
It-
it's I believe
it's
it's a man
always
doing a
has
falsetto.
been.
It always has been. It's
Yeah,
tradition.
I believe it was Frank.
Frank
Like
Oz.
Was it
Oz.
Frank
Yeah.
Oz?
I think
Yeah.
it might have been Frank Oz originally.
Who did Yoda?
Who did Yoda?
Yep.
Yeah. Not technically not a Muppet, but we still call Yoda a Muppet. I guess based on the IMDb recap, if that is considered to be any sort of canon, the species is puppet, but like based on what happens in the movie, Muppet is just like their brand name. But like if you're gonna refer to them as a species, it's either like what animal they look like or just a puppet. If you want to get into the deep lore of how the Muppet universe works. That's one thing that that's always just amused me about this universe, is that people have just learned to deal with these sentient puppets just existing and just being around and doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're shopping at the supermarket and there's like an 8-foot tall elephant bipedal that has a silly voice. It's just there.
Shopping next to you.
Just shopping
Yeah.
next to you. Yeah. But they're rare for certain. But what else? Okay, what else do we have that scene? I don't know if we want to. The only joke that kind of fell flat for me might have been
Oh well, they
Muppet Man a little bit.
had
No.
Childish Gambino in here. I
Muppet
can't remember
Man.
his actual name.
Oh, Donald Glover.
Right.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
Baby
Works
Donald
for
Glover.
Rashida
for
Jones.
his-
When he ran to the room, I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
He's-
with his community hair.
He is a much higher tier actor now
Yeah.
to be in a Muppet movie than he was then, because that was still in his Community days, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, we had
He has the same hair.
yeah,
If
we had
I remember correctly.
we had Ken Jeong. Is that
Jeong.
correct? Yep, Ken Jeong.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As the host of Punch Teacher.
Which is very on brand for him.
The Teachers Association is suing us. Why? What's their problem? I have no idea. I love it. I tried to find. That was one thing about this movie. I tried to find background Easter eggs after I saw that thing in the beginning of like the guy in the stretcher. But remarkably, not that much. Like in the classroom, I was like, is there something funny on the walls? Not really. The list that they hold up is just normal stuff, except for In-N-Out Burger was one of the items on their list, which I thought was funny. And the circle of things that are popular that Rashida Jones shows the Muppets
Oh yeah.
is just, I don't think there's any like real jokes there. There's just
Oh.
No, it's
actors.
just celebrities.
It was
and
just celebrities.
actors, yeah.
Like Uggs was like on the outskirts, and I guess
2011. That's about
that's
right.
funny. There was like the old logo for Twitter, in one of them.
Hmm.
And I think like at the very, very center was Lady Gaga, I want to say.
Yeah.
Which I
During
guess, yeah.
Same monster period.
Yeah. Anything else from this segment? I think yes, nephew.
In the theater when they were cleaning up the theater and they fell asleep. So is Gonzo married to the chicken?
Yes.
Henrietta, yeah.
Are those his kids, or was he like being a player with those other chickens?
I know they have a chorus of chickens in the Muppets like cast.
I don't think they're his kids.
Okay, so he was doing something.
So they're
else
just
up
like
there.
groupies
Yeah.
then.
Maybe they're like her sisters or something.
Yeah.
It could be. And why don't the chickens talk? If all the other weird Muppets talk,
They're the most animal-like
Yeah.
of all the
there's
animals.
and then there's like the Muppet rotten food as well. The
That's
rules of how
right.
Muppets were which get torched by Swedish Chef. One thing. I love Swedish Chef, but I hate how he has normal human hands.
Yeah.
That is always
It's always been weird.
I think recently, like in the new Muppet show that's coming out during sometime this summer, I think, they gave him like felt hands
The TV show.
because the one that's coming out,
Oh, the new.
the
Okay, yeah.
newest one, yeah, because in the ABC show he still has human hands, which is just really weird to watch. Because the way they would do it in the original show is they have one person puppeting the head and doing the voice, and then someone else doing both hands. So he'd be like doing the cooking thing, and the person doing the head and the voice would be doing whatever, and they would have to just try and adjust to whatever the person with the hands was doing, which is why he's so sporadic. It's because they usually improv to those, so the one person wouldn't know what the other puppeteer was doing. But
Interesting.
in this, they gave him a flamethrower, which is pretty par for the course. He does shoot a cannon at the audience in Muppet Vision 3D in California Adventure.
He's very violent.
He's very violent. He's one of my favorite Muppets, for sure. We got Pepe the Prawn hanging out with Miss Piggy in this one. He and Rizzo have a dynamic that's really funny in the ABC show, and like they have a dynamic in most other stuff, like Muppet Treasure Island. Rizzo was mostly non-existent from this. There's that one thing of the rats like soap dancing around when they're cleaning. They're like skating on soap. But
Isn't there a gag where he's like, there's some Muppets that are barely in this movie.
That's in Muppets Most Wanted, the sequel to this
Oh,
one.
right. Yeah.
Where
I'm mixing up my Muppets.
they're talking about Walter, and Rizzo's like, yeah, we already gave him his own movie. Like Walter leaves the Muppets at one point. No, the bad guy who replaces Kermit lies and says that Walter leaves the Muppets. Anyway, that doesn't matter. When someone's like, why he can't leave? We already did an entire movie about him joining. Yeah, and some may say even at the expense of more beloved and less known Muppets or something like that.
That's what it was.
And it's like
yeah.
and it's like Pepe and Rizzo. No, it was Rizzo and Kermit's nephew. I don't remember his name.
Oh, I don't remember his name. Kermit Muppet.
Robin.
No, okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
and it's him and Robin who weren't even in this movie, and they're like, "Come on, Robin, let's go."
Anyways, sorry.
Anyways, that wasn't a tangent. That wasn't a tangent. That was.
I mean,
important.
it does reference this movie.
We get the Jack Black scene. Jack Black is great in this movie, which
I enjoyed him. Yeah.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, I'm just going through his IMDb.
And he gets punched in the face by Kristen Shaw. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I recognized her voice before I recognized her face.
He's Kung Fu Panda 2 the same year.
Oh, I didn't see Kung Fu Panda 2.
No.
I didn't like Kung Fu Panda 1. But that's besides the point. None of my hot takes for that. Let's continue. I should have done a timer because I don't know if we're doing. I feel like we're going a little too fast, but I don't care. We've got a lot of Muppet jokes to talk about. Muppet Man, that was funny. Emily Blunt was in this.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
as
She
the
was
secretary.
great as the secretary.
Yeah.
She's great. Anyway, soon realizing they have not found a guest host, Kermit asks Tex to give their studio back, but he refuses, and we get my least favorite musical number. Let's talk about me.
I hate it.
They further reveal, but we do get a part in there where Bobo the bear accidentally squirts Uncle Deadly in the face with Windex or something. Anyway, he further reveals that the Muppets will also lose the right to the Muppet name. It will be given to the Muppets, who have allied with Tex. Miss Piggy then organizes Miss Poogie. Wait, no, the Muppets. Yeah. My goodness,
that's Miss Piggy.
I have Muppet and Muppet right like on a line below, so I got it mixed up. Miss Piggy then organizes the Muppets, sans Kermit, to kidnap Jack Black to serve as their celebrity host. Mary returns to small town after Gary forgets the promised anniversary dinner, the one thing that was planned in this trip. Gary and Walter each want the other's help with their problems, and they have a falling out. Gary realizes that he needs to step up in his relationship with Mary, while Walter realizes he was meant to be a Muppet and we get the Man or a Muppet number. Gary returns to have dinner with Mary, and they watch the telethon, which goes well with celebrity support and Jack Black as host. Tex cuts the power to the theater, but Gary and Mary rush back to Los Angeles and repair the wiring so the telethon can continue. Uncle Deadly turns on Tex and stops him from destroying the transmitter antenna. I also realized that I never gave my initial thoughts. I like this movie. There it is.
I think your vast knowledge of the Muppets covers
It's
that
not
pretty
bad.
well.
It's not
Oh,
vast. I've never seen the
this-
original Muppet Show, so I don't have a vast knowledge.
That
I've only
also
seen
kind of
what's on
how you
reminds
would
Plus.
me.
even go about doing that.
I don't know where it's not really streaming anywhere. You have to have like the original VHS or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cameron,
So-
you were gonna say something.
Yeah, that also kind of reminded me of another kind of behind the scene joke that they had. Every time they leave or enter the small town, the population number goes up or down.
Yeah,
That's a
and
funny
by
gag.
like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I always thought that was funny. And they have the one bus which goes from there to Los Angeles.
hmm
So I guess
It'd
they were
be
using
very far away.
I guess they were using a rental car for everything else.
Hmm.
A rental
Yes.
car that had travel by map, or maybe that was Kermit's car.
No, that's Kermit's car.
Oh yeah, and we forgot about the choir joke when Kermit appears.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
That's something that the Muppets do really well, is have like a dorky cinematic thing, but then like explain everything in it. Like the light is his car headlights, and the operatic singing is an actual bus that's driving by.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of jokes. So Cameron, how did
Yes.
your interest decrease even more during this segment?
I think it peaked a little bit because of the show. It was
Mhm.
interesting, but we got to the point where they get to the end of the show, and then they like hit the number, and it like goes to 99,000, and I was like, so literally this whole movie's for nothing. And then they don't explain, they don't like redeem themselves after that point. And then I was like, okay,
We're not quite there yet, but we will.
yeah,
we
so
will talk
I'll
about that.
I'll back up, but yeah.
I thought that was funny. But Man or a Muppet?
Oh,
I think it was a good song.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't
catchy.
even mention the a Party of One song as well.
oh yeah.
That's a funny one.
I liked that. I thought it was funny. I didn't understand why Miss Piggy was singing a part of it, because she wasn't having a party of one. She was hanging out with this shrimp.
Yeah.
They just needed a duet, so they went with Piggy because she had broken up with Kermit.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, they get back again at the end of this movie. They stay together through Muppets Most Wanted, but between that and the ABC show, they break up again. But at the end of the ABC show, they get back together. So
What?
The will they, won't they thing.
it's a will they, won't they? They were going to explore that in season 2, but they didn't get a season 2 because nobody watched it, which is a shame because it was hilarious.
I will say about the party of one is just in general, Amy Adams and the other human people give like 100% of their energy. Like this may be a Muppet movie, but she is like singing and acting like it's the one that she got an Oscar nom for, which I think is
Mhm.
just really funny.
And it's crazy that she is an Oscar nom. Has
I
she
think
won?
she's just a nom.
I think
yeah.
okay, but yeah.
think
Either
American-
way, like she's got like these gritty, like rated R movies that she's done, and then the Muppets, and she gives the same amount of dedication to both.
Yeah.
The reason Jason Segel is so dedicated to this movie is because he was one of the writers on it as well.
Yeah, he wrote the movie, so
He wrote the movie, so of course he's
Oh,
invested.
interesting.
Which I guess, like, I think Walter is kind of a self-insert for him a little bit more than his own character,
Probably. Yeah.
because I guess he really likes the Muppets or something. I'm totally projecting
have
that. I
to.
don't know if that's true or not.
I
I
think
love
if
the Muppets
you-
to write a movie.
If you write and produce a movie, you have to like it.
There's Rizzo.
yeah.
There's Rizzo the Rat.
Rizzo.
And I am here for the food. That's from a different movie. Oh, and you noticed, Sarah, that during the We Built the City number, the first time we see Walter whistle, which I believe there was a deleted scene of him whistling before. Oh yeah, it was when they are trying to get someone's attention.
Oh, like when they're going down like
Yeah, they're going down the
downtown
boulevard.
LA.
Yeah, they're in downtown LA. Yeah, and it's one of the deleted scenes where they're trying to get like someone's attention or something, and he whistles super loud, and they're like, "Wow, Walter, that was cool." That's not really needed, but
True.
he can whistle real good.
I didn't like that. I thought that was kind of dumb.
That whistling was his talent.
He built that up for like half the movie, and then they're like, and now he's just gonna whistle for 3 minutes.
That's his talent. That's what would have been a better talent that isn't already taken by another Muppet?
I have no
That's
idea.
tough.
Like the whole time I was like, what the heck are they gonna do to like actually, pay off on this build up here? Because they're building it up really big, and then he just starts whistling, and I'm like, okay, so they just didn't pay off at all.
He gets a standing ovation.
It's kind of relatable that he's scrambling to get a talent and he's like,
I can whistle.
whistling. I'm gonna be on TV. I gotta think of something good. Whistling.
Yeah, let's go on to that. Well, before we get on to that scene in particular,
I got the hobo that shows up.
Oh, Hobo Joe, played by Zach Galifianakis.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
I did not recognize him.
Oh,
No.
wow. He must have been doing a good job.
In character.
We get Statler and Waldorf, and then Jack Black kind of doing the same role they do of heckling. I don't know at one point. It's kind of nebulous at which point he goes from being unwilling participant to playing into the bit.
I don't think he's ever playing into the bit.
Okay.
I don't think so either.
I think they like love him while he's also like dying because he wants to get away.
Yeah, and they cut his hair and make his hair look nice, which is not on brand for him. Especially now. My goodness. His wild beard and hair. He looks awesome.
Looks crazy.
But yeah, because like when Fozzie is doing his jokes and people think, oh, like the joke is that Jack Black has been kidnapped by them. Instead of that actually being what happened.
This is a bit.
Kermit, which is more illegal? Kidnapping Jack Black or destroying the Muppets? Kidnapping Jack Black.
Doesn't he say like temporarily inconveniencing
temporarily
Jack Black?
inconveniencing
And then
Jack
Kermit's
Black.
like kidnapping Jack Black.
I haven't finished putting my balls on. I wonder what project he was supposed to be working on.
Something
Kung Fu
with
Panda.
motion capture.
Kung Fu Panda. That's
Oh,
what it
I
was.
think they did motion capture for Kung Fu Panda.
I think they did motion capture for Kung.
Well, it would have had to have been Kung Fu Panda 2.
I don't think they would have gotten motion capture for Jack Black. He can't do Kung Fu.
Because he can't do Kung Fu.
Neither can Poe.
And he's not nearly as fat as Poe.
Yeah.
Well, it's just to get the armature, the skeleton.
I guess.
Right,
Yeah,
but-
just to get the way he
motion capture.
walks.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
could
I feel
argue
like
that
they
they
could have
did
just
it.
used the skeleton from the first one.
Well, I don't know what they're using.
Hold on.
It was just for a ball joke in a Disney movie.
And then they had that weird like name thing.
Yeah, where it's like a Chinese action movie.
Yeah.
Where it has like their names with the translation under it. That was one of 2 Chinese jokes in this movie because there was also the tourists who said, "Is this Universal Studios?" And he's like,
yes.
"It is."
Yeah.
Wasn't that Frank Oz? I think that was Frank Oz, wasn't it?
Was that Frank? I
The
feel
tour
like-
guy?
No. It was
Somebody else.
It was the dad from some sitcom. No, it was. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is where I remember him from. It's Tim Allen's father-in-law from Santa Claus 3: The Escape Clause.
Okay, you're gonna have to say something
Hold on.
less obscure.
I don't know.
I have to Google
I don't-
Santa Claus 3 to
Gosh
open up a
dang,
new
what?
tab because I
I
was
don't
looking
know.
up
I have.
Painted
I don't. I
Santa.
can't remember him from anything else.
Hold on. I don't remember his name, so I have to go to IMDb real quick. Nope, that's not
Oh
it.
wow. Eden is having a really big brainstorm right now. That's interesting.
Alan Arkin,
Alan Arkin, of
who
course.
is famous for Argo,
What?
Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh,
Who's
right,
Oh,
here's
Little
Miss
Miss Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Edward
That's it.
Scissorhands.
Everybody that in the communication department has seen that because of screenwriting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he's from. That's a
Alan
very
Yes.
Arkin.
Why did Santa Claus 3 pop into mind first?
Don't
Because
know.
it's
That's
you.
weird.
I guess. Do you think that joke was like a Disney dig at Universal Studios by having the ruined
could have
Muppet Theater
been.
be mistaken for Universal?
I think it's just funny that he's like already taken their money, so he's gonna say whatever he needs
Yes,
to.
it is. And for the captioneers at Disney, Chinese is not a language. They were speaking Mandarin. But anyway,
Oh.
that's just something that
I
bugs
see.
me.
Yeah.
Oh
It
man.
bugs me.
It's a
It's just
valid
like
point.
speaking
Yeah.
Chinese. I'm like, well, I mean, they're not. Just like how England isn't a country, but we speak English. Anyway, where was I? With the Uncle Deadly throws Tex Richmond off of a building.
Yeah.
Uncle Deadly, he's a lot funnier in the ABC show. They use him a lot. He does like the wardrobe for Miss Piggy, and he's hilarious. And also Boba the Bear is pretty funny in that too. He's like the technical director for the show, I think. Or is he the floor director? I don't remember. He's got a headset and he says funny things. It's hard to tell who's doing what in that show. With the telethon running short, Walter finds his talent by performing a whistling act to the audience's acclaim. He becomes a professional whistler. If you got that joke, it's from Madagascar too. The tote board stops at 9,999,999 after Tex destroys the nearby telephone pole. A glitch discovered when Fozzie bangs his head on the tote board then reveals the total donations were actually only $99,999.99. Nowhere near the amount of money needed, which actually is a thing that I didn't realize until my second viewing, because it was a lot of numbers. The first time I watched this, it was just like, there's a lot of numbers. Oh, now there's a lot of numbers again, and then they cut away.
Oh.
But then the second time I was like, oh, it went to cents. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought
It
that
did.
you know,
It
like,
made sense.
yeah, I thought that like the first time I watched it, I thought that it was still at 9 million, but it added on 99 cents at the end. So I was like, oh, so
Oh.
they were 1 cent away and said, oh no, they took it away. That's probably my fault for not paying attention.
So here's the thing though, like if they're literally, even if they were like $1 away, they still made their goal. I mean, $1.
Yeah,
Someone had $1 in their pocket in that theater.
exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, like, I don't know how telethons work exactly, but I feel like a lot of those are they taking people's like credit card info over the phone and like doing the transaction right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was worried. I was like, is it just like pledges or stuff? And oh my gosh, can we talk about the celebrity,
Oh yeah.
the forced celebrity cameos in this part, namely
Whoopi.
Selena Gomez and the kid from Modern
Whoopi
Family.
Goldberg,
Whoopi Goldberg is fine.
Neil Patrick Harris,
Neil Patrick Harris, yeah.
I think it's
Give
funny
it
though.
from the office, I
John
don't know what his name
Krasinski.
is. Yeah, John
Yeah.
Krasinski.
What I
Yeah.
didn't appreciate was Selena Gomez not knowing who the Muppets are, and the kid from Modern Family asking if Kermit is a Ninja Turtle.
Like, oh, get it? Because they're young kids.
I'm
Also,
about the
'cause no one
same.
knows the Muppets. Like,
I'm
I guess
about the
it's part of
same
that
age.
plot.
I think I'm actually the exact same age as Selena Gomez.
I think she's older than.
Is she?
Yeah, she's about our age though.
She's about our age.
Yeah.
I know who the Muppets are, and at that age, I knew who the Muppets
She's
were.
27, so she's older than me.
She's 27. Wow.
Dang,
I didn't know
what?
that. I thought she was the same age as me.
Yeah.
Huh. That teen magazine I read 9 years ago.
Sure.
The one that
Was-
said you were soulmates.
No, the one that said that she was like 18 or whatever. I don't know. It would have been. I don't remember. But at one point, I thought I was the same age as Selena Gomez, and I was like, "Well, what am I doing with my life?"
I'm sorry to take that away from you.
Well,
So-
it just means I need to get to that level when I'm 27.
You're the same age as her annoying little brother from Wizards.
That doesn't help.
Oh, what?
That doesn't make me
Yeah.
feel better.
Actually, he's probably
So,
younger.
so this, let's get back on topic, I guess.
yeah.
This thing had a pretty funny joke, I thought, when they were doing the whole call thing. At one
Mhm.
point, Neil Patrick Harris was talking on the phone. He's like, "No, I don't know why I'm not hosting."
Yeah, that was probably during the height of him hosting like everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
that was
Oscars, the
okay.
Tonys, the
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I didn't fully get the joke before, but I guess he did host a lot of stuff. I thought it was just him being NPH. But anyway,
both probably.
so they get nowhere near the amount of money needed. Kermit states that they tried, and that is all that matters. Together
Yeah.
again as a family, they will start over.
Friendship.
When the Muppets, along with Walter, Gary, and Mary, walk out of the theater, they discover a huge gathering of fans and press. With Gary's encouragement, Walter joins the Muppets as they greet the crowd, and we get a Life's a Happy Song reprise. Gary proposes to Mary. Jack Black is taken and declared king of the hobos by Hobo Joe. I did not remember that from the movie until I read that recap and then watched it a second time, but I guess that
The
happens.
king of the
He becomes king of the hobos by Zach Galifianakis and friends. And Tex returns the theater and the Muppet name to the Muppets after Gonzo's failed head bowling act from the telethon causes Tex a head injury, making him laugh for the first time in his life.
I mean, that's a pretty Muppets
That's a pretty Muppet solution. The solution to the first movie,
Muppet
Is,
sex
there's
machina.
the antagonist of the first movie is a guy who sells frog legs who is trying to get Kermit to be his spokesperson. And when he refuses, he then is just trying to kill Kermit by the end of the movie. And they like meet in this like old West town, and the resolution is like Kermit tries to just reason with him and talk him down, and he's like, "Get him, boys!" And Animal eats an entire jar full of enlarging pills and becomes a kaiju and bursts out of a building, and then everyone, all the bad guys, just run away, and that's and that's how they solve the main conflict of the movie.
I know Beaker was involved. I don't know how, but
Yeah,
he was definitely
because
involved.
Beaker and
Science. Yeah, are
Bunsen
Beaker-
Honeydew.
Are they working on the serum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were working on the serum. Yeah. So yeah, I do think it's hilarious that the villain is neutralized because of a head injury, which is a very Muppets thing. That
Pretty
happened.
good karma.
I will say, I teared up absolutely when they come out of the theater. First time I watched it, they come out of the theater. I still kind of get a little teary-eyed. And there's all of their people, and it's like, oh no, they didn't forget about the Muppets.
Yeah.
People still care. I loved that. I loved that. Because like it does like there's a YouTube channel called Defunctland that did a series about the Muppets under Jim Henson, basically, like the start of it. And like at the conclusion of that, when there was like a gap of nothing Muppets for a while until basically this movie, it was like depressing, like for the creators of the Muppets and for the actual fans of the Muppets, because people generally did feel like the Muppets were a bygone thing and weren't going to be popular again. And this movie kind of brought them back. Muppets Most Wanted didn't do well. The show after that didn't do well, which then makes this even more depressing because, yeah, sure, they come back into popularity, but they don't really stay there. Hopefully we get more Muppet stuff, but I like that ending. And Muppets Most Wanted. Muppets Most Wanted ruins it. It ruins it because it starts immediately after this ends, and they're like, oh, and all our fans are here, and everyone's already gone, and they don't care anymore. So it's like, yeah, remember that wholesome ending? Doesn't care. And they were all actors anyway, so no, it doesn't matter. I hated that. But
Here's the thing about that ending.
Yes.
So, if they had just left it at like, oh, we're $1 away or whatever, and we can't get our goal, and then they like left the theater all depressed, and then found out that everybody was there. You know what I mean? Then
and then
that would
they
have been a much
start over
better
anyway.
ending.
Like everyone's got like $1 in their hand or something.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Like
And
it's a
I
Wonderful
think-
Life kind of ending. Like,
Like
oh,
a-
it really
yeah.
wasn't as bad as I
Yeah.
A
thought.
more
yeah,
earned
yeah.
ending than a bowling ball accident.
I
Exactly.
do still think he should have gotten a bowling ball to the gut and a head injury.
That's
I think
fine,
that
but
still
like,
should have happened, yeah. But I think
Yeah,
they still
I
should have
think I
lost the
agree with
theater and
that.
then built it up because they don't even use the theater in the entirety of Muppets Most Wanted. They're in
'Cause they go on
they're in Europe the entire time,
Yeah.
and then they don't use the theater.
dumb.
They don't use the theater in the ABC show either because they're doing a Miss Piggy talk show in a soundstage on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
So they get the theater back and then they don't do anything with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the new show Muppets Now, they will actually use the theater, or we'll just ignore the concept.
Yeah. Hopefully they've learned their lesson.
Yeah.
We'll
For
see.
me, this movie's where the canon ends.
It's a nice package of just those 2 movies.
What are your thoughts on the I guess cold ending? Like a cold open, but it was a cold ending where it ends with him proposing to her, and then it goes right into the Manamana song.
That
I
song's
see
like
Cameron
the
hated
best
that.
part of the Muppets.
That made me laugh so hard when she just turns to the camera.
That was just.
I mean, that's their song.
So when did the Menominat song come out?
Oh, you want to get into this?
Okay.
Because
Let's
clearly,
get into this.
Let's get into
clearly
this.
it was popular when the movie came out. I'm assuming, and so they're like, okay, let's double down on this.
Sarah, you want to
Do
explain
you
the
want to
history?
go? Do you want to go down this rabbit hole, Cameron?
Yes.
So I believe Jim Henson was watching TV late one night,
Oh, I didn't know I was getting a backstory. Hold on.
and you're going to have to guide me on this one.
I'm just
It
gonna
was
look.
a Italian documentary. Am I correct? So far.
Yes, it was a popular song by
Mhm.
Italian composer Piero Umiliani. It originally appeared in the Italian film Sweden, Heaven and Hell.
He just thought because there's no words, it's easy to sing along to,
Sure.
and
It
so
is
the
an
Muppets kind of
an,
adopted it.
It is an exploitation documentary film about wild sexual activity and other behavior in Sweden.
Okay.
And so he took that song and made the Muppets sing it.
And now it's like they are known.
And
for
now
being-
it's and all the Muppets own that song.
Oh gosh. Everything about your childhood is a lie,
It
guys.
was also very popular in the Red Skelton show, if you're familiar with that. He did a play on it a lot.
which, I guess that might have been in like late '60s, early '70s, because that was when like washed up golden age actors were doing their own shows, like the Lucy show.
Okay, so here we go.
Yep,
So the
versions
song.
by the Muppets, yeah. Oh, and the Benny Hill show did it as well.
So it looks like the song came out in 1991. Which means-
Well, no, the original song, the
No,
original
the
song
Muppets with the Muppets version.
was
The
it in the
Muppets version
90s.
came out.
I'm pretty
1991.
sure it's in
That's what
like
it said
old
online.
Jim Henson stuff.
That's
Am
what
I
it said.
wrong?
1991.
November 30th, 1969, Menomina
What?
was performed on the Ed Sullivan Show by 3 new and more fully detailed Muppet characters.
Okay.
There we go.
So here's the thing. That means
Copyrighted in
is,
'91.
this thing is 40 years old. At least. And they're just like, we're going to put it in our movie because why not?
I remember
It's a
in
must.
the trailer for this movie, it had all of them in the car, and 80s robot driving, and like everyone, and this song was playing over the radio, and they're like, "You mind if we change the channel?" Someone says that.
Yeah.
The trailer for this movie was not that good. It didn't really excite me. like the big joke in the trailer was Walter getting thrown into the electric fence, which is funny, but it made the humor seem just like overly slapstick in the trailer. I'm sure
Yeah.
Cameron would say that it is in the movie as well. Also, Phenomena, way more accent marks in that title than I was expecting. Anyway, let's we've discussed most of it.
Yes.
Moment of the movie. Could be favorite part, least favorite part, favorite joke, favorite musical number. I want to go first because I want to claim 80s Robot. 80s Robot's introduction as my moment of the movie because I love 80s Robot.
It's literally Neffy's background. That's
I
fair.
know, but
Yeah.
I like 80s Robot, so I am taking it because I'm a host of the show and I can make the rules. But I will allow Neffy to go next as a recompense for stealing it.
I think one of my favorite parts is the Muppet Man because I love Little Rascals, and that just brought me back to Little Rascals.
Oh,
Totally.
yeah. I'm assuming you mean the.
I can't believe I fell for Muppet Man.
I'm assuming you mean the movie Little Rascals, not
Yes.
the 1940 TV show that's based on,
No.
which is better.
Yeah, it is
Better.
true.
Yeah,
It's
me
way
too.
better.
The original show, Our Gang, which is what it's based on, is that's a rant that I'll bring up on the Wildcast at some point because I love that show. Aside from the outdated cultural depictions, of course.
Of course, yes.
My goodness, it had those. Let's do Cameron.
All right.
Your moment
So-
of the movie.
My favorite moment was when they're going over that contract, and the guy's like, "So it looks like they have to make $10 million in order to save their theater," and the old guy's like, "Oh, you hear that? They're going over a very important plot point." He's like, "Oh, it better be, or the audience is bored to death." Our audience is still awake.
Statler
So
and
good.
Waldorf are so funny. They were I think like Statler is as if I can't count 80s Robot because he's not like a puppet really, he's mechanical. If I'd have to say my favorite Muppet besides him, it would be Statler. Because I fell in love with those guys at the Muppet Vision 3D in California Adventure because they were like besides the Sweetum actor who comes out, they were the only actual puppets in the show because everything else was on the screen. And I don't know, I thought they were cool.
Oh, no.
Let's rank the film.
I didn't get to say my favorite.
Oh,
thing.
Sarah, say your thing, and I'm gonna begin sharing my screen for the ranking.
I have to say, well, I just really liked Amy Adams in this. I like.
Amy Adams can be your moment if you want.
Well, specifically, it's another fourth wall break like Cameron's, but when they're trying to convince Kermit and he says no, it's like, well, this is going to be a really
Oh yeah, I love that so much.
that's my
good.
moment.
Yeah, it was good.
So let's go to the ranking. I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna wait. Is it still? Does it change when I do that? It does. Okay,
I don't know.
that's fine. Okay, so where would we like to rank this? I'm kind of feeling number 3, actually. Above Finding Dory, but below Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd be fine putting it above Guardians of the Galaxy, actually. Because if I had to watch one, it would be The Muppets over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
That's kind of where I'm thinking. I didn't really like Volume 2, but
All
I
right.
did like Finding Dory
I
more.
think you're right. I agree with that. Let's do 2.
Okay. Let's do 2. Neffy, you don't have a vote to change it, but
Well, I wouldn't put it that high, but
well, it's gonna happen. The Muppets.
At least it's quality,
2011.
unlike some of the ones further down the list.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Film information and statistics for y'all. Written by Jason Segel and Nicholas Stoller. Directed by James Bobbin. Released November 23rd, 2011. Runtime, 1 hour 43 minutes. IMDb score 7.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes 95% critics, 80% audience. Metacritic 75 Metascore 7.8 out of 10. User score. And now it is time to spin the wheel. This week's wheel was submitted via email by the Lunar Throne, which is the Disney Nature Collection.
Oh no, I forgot about that.
And you know what? It's been a while. I'm gonna go spin the wheel.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
Wow.
spin it for expediency's sake.
Bye.
Yeet. Ow. Okay. This week we will be watching The Crimson Wing: Mystery of the Flamingos.
That sounds fascinating.
Okay. I mean, sure.
Flamingos.
I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad.
I mean, you could
But
have gotten like
we get to find out-
lions
we
or
get to
like
find out the
sharks or
mystery
something.
of the flamingos.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
You
this
learn
you
is-
got,
about
like-
them eating like krill and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Shark Week's not on there, so I don't think there's any good ones.
Yeah,
At
might
all.
not be sharks, but there probably are like cool lions and stuff.
Yeah, but we missed that.
Mhm. And real
I'm just
quick
depressed.
before we end, well, let's decide which wheel to
All right.
spin
We
next.
should do.
After that, we might need a break.
we should do the Princess Collection.
You know what? Yeah, let's do the Princesses Collection.
Princesses.
We'll be
Yay.
spinning the Princesses Collection submitted by email by Open Sprocket.
Yes.
Where did
Did
my
get something fun or something
Where did
terrible?
my Zoom go? Oh, wait, good. It
Yeah.
paused during there. I didn't. Where's my Zoom?
If we get like Princess Diaries, I'm gonna die.
Okay, there we go.
Watch your
Um,
mouth.
It's possible. It's possible.
That came
all
out
right.
during my most
Formative
my
years.
formative years. So I'm very, very protective of it.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like the show, please review us on iTunes or whatever podcast service you used to listen to and share it with your friends. You can send your reviews or comments to WhereStreamsComeTrue@gmail.com. You can submit a wheel, such as a category or search term on Disney Plus. And if you send in your review, we will read it on the show. Or you can submit a recording on anchor.fm/WhereStreamsComeTrue. Thank you all for listening. Happy Muppets.
No.